And the Independent National Electoral Commission says it will not hesitate to arrest and prosecute anyone who disrupts the electoral process or engages in vote buying in the July 16th governorship election in Osun State. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu made this known earlier today at a special meeting with security agencies to review security arrangements for the elections at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. The electoral body is asking Osun State residents to come out en masse and exercise their franchise, as it has put measures in place to ensure the safety of voters, observers and other stakeholders. Yakubu also appealed to political parties to give maximum cooperation to enable it to conduct credible elections come July 16th.
Arising from the experience in recent elections, vote buying remains a major area of concern. We appreciate the role played by anti-corruption and security agencies in apprehending some of the perpetrators of this brazen assault on our democracy. In particular, we are working with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to ensure the prosecution of persons arrested in the Ekiti governorship election. Action will commence soon, and the EFCC is conducting the investigation and will soon be completed and will commence the prosecution of violators. It is futile for anyone to attempt to vote using another person's PVC. The PVA's biometric accreditation will expose such fraud and persons involved apprehended and prosecuted under the law.
More needs to be done in terms of enlightenment campaign to encourage voters to come out and cast their vote on the day of Osun governorship election. This is because of the low turnout recorded during the election compared to the total number of registered voters in Ekiti State. Consequent of and the above, the NSC also enjoined INEC through the Department of Voter Education / Publicity to redouble effort ahead of the Osun State gubernatorial election and the forthcoming general elections in 2023.
Well, Abiodun Adeniyi, Arise News analyst and Beige University lecturer, joins us now to actually look ahead to the Osun gubernatorial polls. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program.
My pleasure.
And of course, a good place to start this conversation is looking at just 2 weeks ago, we had the elections in Ekiti State and some issues that were raised, especially as it has to do with the beavers, which the INEC chair in that video says is one of the ways they can tackle vote buying. Do you think INEC did well enough in terms of replacing the faulty ones from all the reports that you have seen so far? And look ahead, what more can they do, really?
Well, I think it's okay for me to congratulate you on your marriage. I wish you a happy married life.
Thank you so much. But let's talk about INEC.
Yeah, that's right. But I think INEC will continue to improve on the electoral process, going by their recent record. They're trying, the fact that they're increasingly introducing technology, is reducing human interferences in the process, and of course, transparency, transparency, fairness, and credibility is also being ramped up, as the case could be, But we cannot deny the fact that politicians are trying to outsmart, the ingenuity of INEC, through the famed or the infamous vote buying, which somebody has called, temporary purchase of loyalty, as the case could be. But it's also gratifying to see INEC chairman warning against it, amongst other infractions that can happen in an electoral process. But we didn't see much of apprehension, in the Ekiti election, and we're not seeing prosecution. So if we're not seeing this, what is the guarantee that if these infractions are repeated in Osun, that of course there will be sanction, or there will be apprehension, prosecution, and sanction at the end of the day? So it might as well be the same old story,
Right.
Yes, INEC will do very well in terms of organizing the election, in terms of preparations and all of that, but we also see some kinds of infraction, maybe through inducement, making people to vote, irrespective of what their conscience says. And of course, at the end of the day, it will now be a question of the party, with the biggest war chest, or the party that pays more and that is going to win, as it was alleged in the case of Ekiti. But what do we do in the circumstance? Nothing. Osun is maybe the last of the off-season election in the build-up to the general election. You know, maybe we should just we should just be satisfied with the fact that INEC will have honed the skills, you know, in terms of preparation, in terms of the deployment of technology, you know, in terms of other logistics preparation, you know, in addition to the preparations of other stakeholders, given the fact that election is a multi-stakeholder affair, so that at the end of the day we can have a general election that is better than the one we have in 2019.
Right, but you know what? Vote buying is not just an issue with INEC alone. It is something that should be curbed, because according to the European Union, it says it's a menace. If it's not handled properly soon enough, it might actually lead to a catastrophic outcome as it concerns Nigeria's democracy. But let's look at the fact that, you know, beyond INEC, other agencies, as it concerns security agencies and all of that, how can they really help INEC in terms of handling this menace, vote buying?
But I think it's actually a system thing, and we have made the point really that to some extent is not unconnected with our political economy, you know, and of course, you know, people are poverty stricken, you know, people are jobless, they are unemployed, they are underemployed, and they see election as a time of harvest, you know, as a bazaar time where they can quickly get their piece of the cake, you know, a bite of the cherry. And of course, they find it very difficult because of these material conditions around them to resist the temptation, you know, of gratifications, of handouts from politicians. So they fall for it easily. Right. But the other thing around it is that in some cases, you even have people who have money still, people who are comfortable, who are also still grabbing this money. So it's an endless thing. And that's why I would say that our system is rooted in moneyism, you know, where money speaks. You know, the more money you have, you know, the more you want some more money as well. So it's a system thing that would take time for us to get over. You know, but I don't think we are not improving. We're improving gradually in terms of credibility of the election. You know, if the problem now is vote buying, we have identified it. We have identified it as the case could be. Maybe going forward, I will begin to think of ways to get around it. And one way is sensitization, you know, conscientization, letting the people know that this is your power, this is an opportunity for you to boost your self-esteem, not just through the physical process of voting, but of course deciding who will rule you for the next 4 years. And that person should ordinarily come from your conscience, not because, you know, you've been induced by any means.
Right, and of course identifying the problem might just lead to a solution at the end of the day. Yeah. But let's talk about the candidates right now. Would you say that they've done enough to really reach out to the people? Because if you look at some of the candidates, especially the APC, it's more like you know, Oyetola is going for a second term. But let's talk about the candidates generally before we come to individuals, really.
Well, I think, I mean, it's going to be a straight fight like it was 3.5 years ago, in my own opinion, you know, between the APC candidate and the PDP one. You know, one is sober, it's incumbent, you know, it looks easygoing, pious, and all of that. And the second one, the PDP one, you know, is slightly flamboyant, full of razzmatazz, you know, and of course he has an illustrious heritage behind him. Of course, maybe some war chest as well, but I don't think he may be able to match, you know, the incumbent with respect to war chest, which often play a key role in the electioneering process.
But can we talk about the content of their manifestos? Are we not looking at that at all? We're just looking at political parties and not the individuals and what they promise the people?
It hardly matters in our electioneering process, unfortunately, Amaka. You know, it hardly matters. Some other things matter. In a situation where it should be our focus, you know, but even if we look at that, you know, media portrayals, you know, have told us that the incumbent has done fairly well in terms of infrastructure, in terms of utilities, and of course, much unlike it was 3.5 years ago, he has endeared himself into the people, into the minds of the people, and his ratings seems better than the time he came on, you know, when his candidacy was controversial against the background of preferences, of arguments that the position should rather go to somebody from Osun West instead of Osun Central, you know. But of course, they rode through all that, he emerged, and of course, in trying to ingratiate himself into the people, you know, he was concerned about infrastructure, and he spread it across the state. So to that extent, you will say that maybe he has done well. If he says that he needs 4 more years to continue this program, it could be a selling point for him. You know, but in the case of the other candidate, the other strong candidate, you know, he probably may be at a slight disadvantage because he's selling himself at fresh. But do not forget that he's a very strong personality. He's very popular, you know, he's very entertaining. you know, like I said, full of razzmatazz, flamboyant, you know, and that could also matter in the political
and of course, this has been seen as a referendum on the first term of Boyega Oyetola, who had a fallout with his principal, speaking about the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, even though that seemed to have been sorted out with a picture that emerged not too long ago, saying that they have, you know, seized their swords. But let's talk about this election and the pressure on the APC presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some would say, you know, this is a way for him to show that, yes, he still has a grasp on the Southwest.
Yeah, I think he will not want to let it go, and he's also being supported by the chairman, who came all out to say that they have to win the election, you know, and they should use all means possible. But the good thing is that he said all legitimate means possible, you know, to win the election. So I know it's something that he will not want to lose, but let's not forget also that PDP is not a completely backsided party in Osun State. PDP is very strong. They have members. They have a senatorial seat. They have members in the House of Representatives as well, and of course they can still pull things. You know, they have very strong personalities. You know, so I think that at the end of the day, APC may have a head start. You know, but things should not be taken for granted.
Do you foresee some sort of upset?
What?
Any expectations?
Maybe too early in the day, but it's going to be unlikely.
Well, it's just 2 weeks away, so if you say it's too early in the day, we'll just have to wait and see. Abiodun Adeniyi, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program.